for joining us now, and thank you to all the previous speakers and their presentations. I'm a master's student at Concordia University and the co-founder of CP3, Concordia Precious Plastic Project, and I'm Dr. Ketra Schmitt, an associate professor in the Center for Engineering and Society at Concordia University, who studies policy issues with significant scientific, social, and ethical uncertainty. I'm here to share with you the potential limitations of implementing a local closed-loop plastic recycling program following a circular economy model and using CP3 as an example, but I will discuss it a little later. To begin, I really wanted to hear from you, and if we can launch, as I've created a poll and I wanted to know how much plastic waste do you think Canadians produce each year? So if we're able to launch the poll now, and I'll give you a couple seconds to answer what your guesses are of how much plastic waste Canadians produce each year. And then if we can share the results. Wow, perfect. So, well, most of you said more than 5 million tons. The correct answer is actually 3.8 million tons of plastic waste each year. And if we can go back to my presentation, just for a visual, that's 24 CN towers, which is a lot of waste. So most of you guessed more than that, but actually maybe in your eyes we're doing a little better, but it's still a lot of waste that we're producing, and we're on track to be making more than 3.8 million. Of the total amount of plastic waste produced, only 9% of it. The rest will be incinerated to create energy, which alone causes a lot of pollution and health issues, or it will go to landfill or end up in our oceans, or even sent overseas for developing countries to take care of. Even though plastic and virgin plastic continues to be produced, our waste management system just can't keep up with the demands. Our current traditional waste management system puts responsibilities on the consumer to properly sort and manage their waste, often using multiple different sorting bins, such as the ones that we see here. However, products are usually made from different types of materials, and they're not always easily disassembled or identified the type of material that it is. So if I use a very standard pen, for example, a plastic pen, the majority of it's made out of plastic. There's obviously the ink in the center. There's also some metal components, and this specific one has a rubber end where you hold it. So different types of materials. How do I disassemble this? Which bin do I put it in? These are questions that the consumer has to ask themselves before disposing of recyclable waste. Moreover, recyclable waste is often collected all together and then goes to the same facility. So we often mix our glass, our paper, our plastic, and our metal, or even if we separate them, it will be taken care of at the same facility. Sorting at recycling facilities is often then done by hand, which is not a time-consuming or efficient way to deal with our waste. And I might add that we just sorted our waste, or we thought we sorted our waste, and yet again, it's being sorted again. Contamination at this stage is also a huge issue. It can be expensive, and thus facilities will just remove contaminated materials and send them to landfill instead of dealing with them in-house at a facility. Furthermore, products are designed without considering the total life cycle. So material selection is based on functionality, aesthetics, and expense, and excluding the product's end of life. Once again, consumers are asked to live with this new 6R approach, which is to rethink their purchases, to refuse plastic items, to repair broken items, to reduce their plastic waste, to reuse or repurpose to extend the life cycle, and finally, as the very last step, is to recycle that plastic item. But why aren't manufacturers using this 6R approach? To rethink during the design phase the total life cycle of a product, to refuse a material that is not easily recycled, to repair damaged products from their own supply chain or accept broken items from their customers, to reuse different types of materials used in their products, to make their designs have dual purpose in order to be reused, and finally, ensure that their products can be recycled by material selection and identification. At CP3, we are trying to tackle this problem. We are a multidisciplinary student-led initiative bracing Concordia University's plastic waste management by recycling on-site and raising awareness about the plastic crisis. We are a group of students from all faculties united by the goal of protecting the environment and giving plastic waste a new life. And we do this in two ways. First, we raise awareness about the plastic crisis through our social media platforms, where we provide information about the current state of the problem, as well as information for the community members to make a difference on their own. The second way is by closing the loop between all the plastic waste produced on campus. The benefit of this is allowing plastic items to have a new life and be recycled on site and reduce the amount of plastic waste we are sending to landfill. The process is first to collect, wash, and separate the plastic waste. Next is to granulate into smaller pellet sizes using a shredder, and finally transform it into different types of products. This initiative is based on the International Precious Plastic Project that inspires individuals to tackle plastic waste issues in their own community. The limitation here is to ensure all products created will be able to enter and re-enter the closed loop system over again. For example, prototyping is a very popular, however, it's often not identified with a traditional symbol and number, and thus can create a lot of waste because there's no way to identify what type of material it's made out of. We are implementing that all products 3D printed on campus, be stamped before they're collected to be recycled, and this way we can know the type of material that they're made out of and give it reserve. Well, we will be creating recycled filament for all labs on campus to use, which is not something that you can find on the market. In a dedicated student center where we will be promoting multidisciplinary research and projects in order to tackle the plastic crisis and explore new solutions together. So I've added our social media accounts here and our email, and you have questions offline, we're happy to answer. But I'm gonna just switch over, and at the time I'm gonna ask Dr. Ketra Schmitt a question in order to start this short discussion, and then we're happy to take questions from the chat as well. So hi, Dr. Schmitt, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Sarah?
Good. So my question for you is around regulation in circular economy. And it's common to hear that consumers' behaviors and habits are the issues of plastic waste. However, we're still just reliant on consumers changing their habits instead of looking at the root of the problem. And even recently at the COP26 summit, it was mentioned that implementing a circular economy wouldn't solve too many issues because virgin plastic is still being produced and still being made. But I'm curious, in your opinion, what policies or regulations can help small businesses to implement this circular economy versus relying on consumer habits?
Wow, there's so much in that question. And first of all, you did a really great job on that presentation. So as a first stop, in a sense, of course, when we're still producing more plastic, there's a limit to what the benefit can be. But I don't think that's any reason not to pursue it. I think it's really vital that we do pursue it. And the thing that really struck me was this exact question that you asked: why are we not asking this of corporations? As a consumer, I'm sure many of you have tried to reduce plastic. It's really a very difficult thing to do. And yet the framing tends to be consumers asking this of corporations. So to me, I think Concordia is a great example as a place that has the political will and the resources to put towards a program like this. What is interesting to me is how do we scale this up into a broader society? Concordia is looking at having a closed loop plastic recycling system, which is so important, but how do we find this in the broader society? We need to ask more of corporations. We also need to find a political will to have policy implemented that requires this as well.
I completely agree. And I also think that just traceability in general of where the plastic waste is being produced and then where it's going after would also help to enable this closed loop system. So, you know, at CP3, we're trying to track what labs are doing and what students' research are doing in order to say, oh, we can actually recycle that on site. And I think that would be interesting to implement, like you said, on a corporate level where products that are being made every day can be traceable of, you know, where they end up versus just, you know, making it someone else's problem to deal with that waste.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't see any questions in the chat, but if offline, if anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.